Borders are supposed to be straight lines, clear, clean, and logical, right? We imagine them as definitive dividers, neatly separating one place from another, one people from their neighbors. They appear on our maps as bold, unwavering demarcations, the very essence of political and geographical order. Yet, the reality on the ground, in certain extraordinary corners of our world, can be far more intricate, far more wonderfully perplexing than these simple cartographic representations might ever suggest. These are not the grand, sweeping frontiers of deserts or mountain ranges, but something altogether more curious. But not all borders follow the rules. Some twist through towns, split streets, even run through living rooms with an almost mischievous disregard for human convenience. Imagine, if you will, a frontier so convoluted that your morning coffee is brewed in one nation, while your armchair, mere feet away, resides in another. Today, you'll discover the weirdest, most mind-bending frontiers where countries touch in ways you won't believe. We shall journey to places where the very concept of a national boundary becomes a playful, sometimes baffling feature of daily existence, challenging our assumptions about what it means to belong to a place. From a house that belongs to two countries, its allegiances divided by an invisible line across the floorboards, to an island where today and tomorrow exist just 4 kilometers apart, separated by the vastness of the Pacific and the abstract construct of the international dateline. You're about to cross some very unusual lines. These are not just geographical oddities, they are windows into history, culture, and the remarkable adaptability of humankind. Stick around. The last one will change how you see time itself. Because sometimes crossing the street means crossing a continent or even stepping into another day. Our first destination takes us into the quiet, unassuming European countryside, to a place that appears, at first glance, like any other charming village. Yet, beneath this tranquil veneer lies a geographical conundrum, a town that seems more border than building. Welcome to Baarle, a tiny, intricate puzzle meticulously pieced together on the map, where the nations of the Netherlands and Belgium engage in an endless, almost whimsical game of territorial chess. Here, the very fabric of daily life is interwoven with the complexities of international boundaries, creating a unique human habitat unlike any other. The town, you see, is not simply divided. It is fractured, split into 2 distinct yet overlapping municipalities. Baarle-Nassau, which belongs to the Netherlands, and Baarle-Hertog, an exclave of Belgium. But this is no straightforward division, no simple line drawn down the middle. Instead, it's a wonderfully chaotic patchwork of enclaves and, remarkably, sub-enclaves. Picture this: pockets of Belgian land entirely surrounded by Dutch territory, and within some of these Belgian pockets, further tiny islands of Dutch land, themselves completely encircled by Belgium. It's a cartographer's nightmare, and a testament to centuries of treaties, land swaps, and feudal allegiances. The practical implications of this intricate division are woven into the very essence of existence here. One might find themselves enjoying a delightful dinner in a restaurant situated squarely in the Netherlands, only to retire for the night to a bedroom, within the very same building, that lies in Belgium. Some structures are literally and quite visibly sliced in two by these international borders. Residents often display the national flag corresponding to the portion of their home they wish to identify, or sometimes both, creating a vibrant if somewhat confusing display of dual nationality. Even the simple act of knowing which country your front door opens into can be a matter of considerable local importance. Navigating this labyrinth requires more than just a keen sense of direction. It demands an understanding of a system where street numbers can abruptly switch nationality from one side of a building to the other, or even within the same facade. There are, astonishingly, over 30 separate, distinct border sections snaking their way through this one diminutive town. It's a level of complexity so profound that even the most sophisticated GPS mapping systems are said to falter, often leading unsuspecting visitors on a merry and geographically perplexing dance. Locals, of course, have developed an innate sense of these invisible lines, passed down through generations. Imagine the daily life, the administrative puzzles, the sheer novelty of inhabiting such a place. If you were to find yourself living on a border as convoluted as this, which country would you prefer your kitchen to be in, and which your garden? Would it be the Netherlands with its distinct cultural nuances, or Belgium with its own unique charm? The residents of Baarle don't just live near a border, they live it, a constant, tangible reminder of how human constructs can shape and be shaped by the landscape in the most peculiar of ways. Now, let us transport ourselves from the intricate patchwork of European village life to the stark, windswept expanse of the Bering Strait. Here, amidst the icy waters, imagine standing on the shores of one country, gazing across a relatively narrow channel and seeing another nation clearly visible. These are the Diomede Islands, two lonely, rugged specks of land, separated by a mere 4 kilometers of water, yet an entire calendar day apart. This is a place where the human concept of time itself seems to bend and stretch in the most extraordinary fashion. Big Diomede, the larger of the two islands, is a territory of the Russian Federation. Its smaller counterpart, Little Diomede, just a short distance to the east, forms part of Alaska, and thus, the United States of America. Nestled precisely between these two sentinels of land runs one of the most significant yet invisible lines on our planet, the international dateline. This imaginary boundary, decreed by international agreement, marks the point where one day officially ends and the next begins. The implications for these two neighboring islands are quite profound. When the inhabitants of Little Diomede are perhaps just beginning their Monday morning, their counterparts on Big Diomede, a mere 2.5 miles away, are already well into their Tuesday. A temporal chasm of approximately 21 hours separates these two closely situated landmasses. It's little wonder that these islands have earned evocative nicknames such as Tomorrow Island for Big Diomede and Yesterday Island for Little Diomede. One can, quite literally, look across the water and see into another day, a concept that boggles the mind. During the tense years of the Cold War, this narrow strait became a stark symbol of global division. Families, who had for generations moved freely between the islands, suddenly found themselves separated by not just water, but by an impenetrable political and ideological barrier. The frozen expanse of ocean that connected them in winter, once a bridge, became a forbidden zone. It was illegal to cross, transforming neighbors into distant, almost mythical figures on the horizon, living in a different time and under a different flag. In the depths of winter, when the Bering Strait freezes solid, it is theoretically possible to walk across the ice from the American Little Diomede to the Russian Big Diomede. Imagine embarking on such a journey. You could, in a sense, depart from America on a Monday afternoon and, after a brisk walk, arrive in Russia on Tuesday afternoon having seemingly jumped forward in time, or, traveling the other way, arrive the day you left. Time travel in its purest science fiction sense? Perhaps not, but it is undeniably one of the world's most wonderfully weird and thought-provoking borders, a place where geography and chronology collide. Borders, as a general rule, tend to respect the integrity of human constructions. They might run along rivers, crest mountain ranges, or slice through open fields, but they usually, and quite sensibly, avoid bisecting buildings. However, in the small town of Derby-Line, Vermont, nestled against the Canadian province of Quebec, the US-Canada border displays a rather charming disregard for such conventions. Here, the international boundary marches straight through the heart of the town, and remarkably, right through the buildings themselves. One of the most celebrated examples of this geographical quirk is the Haskell Free Library and Opera House. This venerable institution, built deliberately astride the border in the early 20th century as a symbol of friendship between the two nations, presents a unique experience for its patrons. The main reading room, where one might settle down with a good novel, is situated in Stansted, Quebec, Canada. Yet, the very shelves from which the books are borrowed, the circulation desk where they are checked out, are located in Derby-Line, Vermont, USA. Imagine the delightful absurdity. You can literally select a book in the United States and, without taking more than a few steps, sit down to read it in Canada, all under the same roof. The Opera House, located on an upper floor of the same building, continues this theme of international cooperation. The stage, where performers might enact dramas or deliver soaring arias, lies in Canada. The audience, however, comfortably seated and ready to be entertained, resides entirely in the United States. It's a truly unique venue, where applause crosses an international boundary with every performance. But it's not just public institutions that find themselves in this peculiar predicament. Several private homes in Derby-Line are also directly affected by the border's unusual path. There are tales of kitchens located firmly in the United States, while the adjacent bedroom, perhaps just across a hallway, is in Canada. For the residents of such homes, the simple act of moving from one part of their house to another can technically mean crossing an international border. Some have humorously noted that they must, in theory, report to customs officials just to go upstairs to bed. Inside the Haskell Library, a thick black line is painted across the floor, visibly demarcating the precise location of the US-Canada border. This line has become a popular attraction in its own right, with visitors from around the world eagerly taking photographs, often with one foot planted firmly in each country, a tangible, playful interaction with an otherwise abstract concept. If you were given the chance to design your own border-straddling building, what unique international space would you create? Perhaps a restaurant with a kitchen in one country and a dining room in another? Or a hotel where guests could choose their nationality for the night? Or maybe even a haunted house with ghosts from two different nations? Borders define where one nation ends and another begins. They are the seams in the fabric of our global community, lines drawn by history, geography, and politics. But in these rare, extraordinary places we've explored today, they become tangled, strange, even wonderfully poetic. Where maps fail to capture the full quirky reality, and where logic seems to bend and stretch, people still find remarkable ways to live, to laugh, and to coexist. Even if their living room, their library, or their entire sense of daily routine is quite literally international territory. So next time you glance at a world map and see those bold, clear lines dividing countries, remember the stories from Baarle, the Diomedes, and Derby Line. Remember that some borders are invisible, yet profoundly impactful, like the international date line. Some are bizarre, a patchwork of historical accidents and agreements, and some, in their sheer audacity and the human spirit they reveal, are just plain beautiful. These places challenge our conventional understanding and invite us to see the world with fresh, curious eyes, appreciating the delightful complexities that lie beyond simple demarcations. There are even more tales of peculiar frontiers out there. Border crossings found on tranquil golf courses within bustling airport terminals and, believe it or not, one nestled inside a McDonald's restaurant. Would you be interested in exploring these in a future journey, a part 2 of our border adventures? Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments below, like what you saw today. Hit that subscribe button for more mind-expanding stories from around our incredible world, and don't forget to share this with a friend who loves geography, travel, or just a wonderfully weird fact. Until next time, keep exploring.